Ryan adjusted the strap of his gear as he looked out over the landing field. The planet ahead sparkled under the pale light of its twin suns, with shades of violet and gold painting the clouds above. This was not a typical mission. He was not going there to fight or explore. Today he was sent to meet the alien princess, Lyra, the ruler of a world that had recently become an ally. The humans and Lyra's people had been in an uneasy alliance for months. Both sides had reasons to trust each other, but old fears and misunderstandings lingered. Ryan had been chosen for this mission because he had a reputation for calm thinking and the ability to handle unexpected situations. Still, he could not deny that his stomach was tight with nerves. Meeting royalty was one thing, but meeting an alien princess whose beauty and reputation were known across galaxies was something entirely different. The shuttle touched down with a soft hum, and Ryan stepped onto the smooth metallic surface of the landing platform. The air was different here, lighter, with a faint floral scent that reminded him of gardens on Earth. He glanced around, seeing alien architecture shaped in tall spirals and delicate arches, shimmering faintly in the sunlight. Everything here seemed almost magical. A small group of royal aides approached, their movements precise, their expressions unreadable. One of them, taller than the rest with glowing teal skin, spoke in a melodic tone. "Welcome, human representative. Princess Lyra awaits you in the council hall." Ryan nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. He followed the aides through long hallways filled with soft lights and intricate carvings. Every step made him more aware of how different this world was, and how carefully he would have to act. Finally, they arrived at a wide chamber with high ceilings. Light poured through translucent walls, painting patterns on the polished floor. And there she was. Princess Lyra stood in the center of the room, her posture regal and confident. Her skin had a faint shimmer, and her hair flowed like liquid silver. Her eyes, a deep violet, scanned the room with calm curiosity. The moment Ryan saw her, he felt an odd mix of awe and nervousness. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, not just in appearance but in presence. "Human representative," Lyra said, her voice smooth and commanding. "I understand you come with a gesture of respect." Ryan blinked. He hadn't even spoken yet, and here she was acknowledging his arrival and intentions. "Yes, Princess Lyra," he said carefully, bowing his head slightly. I come in peace and with respect for you and your people." Lyra tilted her head slightly as if evaluating him. "Peace is good," she said, "but respect is shown in actions, not just words. Let us see if you understand our customs." Ryan swallowed again. He had studied some of the alien culture before arriving, but nothing could prepare him for the reality of interacting with a living legend. He followed her into the center of the chamber, noting how the floor seemed to glow softly beneath their feet. Suddenly, a small accident occurred. A device used for communication slipped from one of the aides' hands and skidded across the floor toward Lyra. Ryan acted without thinking. He jumped forward and caught it just in time. "You have quick reflexes," Lyra remarked, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Most humans are not so fast." Ryan handed the device back, his heart pounding. "Thank you, Princess. I just wanted to make sure nothing was damaged." Lyra's eyes softened slightly and she leaned closer. "In your culture, gestures of protection are often symbolic, are they not?" Ryan nodded, unsure of what she meant. He had never thought of it that way. "Yes, they can be. We value courage and thoughtfulness." A pause fell between them. Ryan could feel her gaze studying him, trying to understand his intentions, and in a moment of instinctive human spontaneity, he reached into his pocket and took out a small token, a simple crystal he had carried from Earth. "This is a symbol of trust and respect," he said, offering it to her. "In my culture, it is a gesture of goodwill, and sometimes it is used when one wishes to honor another deeply." Lyra raised an eyebrow, looking intrigued. "You were proposing human?" Ryan froze. His words had been simple, meant to show respect, but her interpretation made his chest tighten. I did not mean it that way," he said quickly. "It is a symbol of honor, a gesture of friendship and trust." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "Interesting," she said. "In my culture, such a gesture is rare and powerful. Most who offer it are serious in their intentions. Yet you speak as though it is casual." Ryan tried to explain further, but every word seemed inadequate. He had not expected cultural differences to make something so simple seem so dramatic. Still, he noticed a glimmer of amusement and warmth in her expression. "You are brave," she said finally. Not many humans would act without knowing all consequences. Perhaps this is a quality to admire. Ryan's nervousness eased slightly. He managed a small smile. I try to do what is right, Princess. That is all I can promise. Lyra regarded him for a long moment. Then, in a voice that was soft but firm, she said, Very well, human, you will stay here for the day. Observe, learn, and prove that your actions are worthy of trust. Perhaps by evening I will understand if your gesture was merely human politeness or something more. Ryan nodded, trying not to let his relief show. I will do my best, Princess. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of introductions, observations, and small trials. He met members of Lyra's council, learned about the planet's customs, and watched the alien soldiers train in ways he had never imagined. Every step, every interaction made him realize the depth of this culture and the delicate balance he had to maintain. Lyra observed him closely, sometimes silently, sometimes asking pointed questions. She tested his knowledge, his patience, and his respect for traditions. Ryan answered as honestly as he could, showing courage when challenges arose and humility when he did not know the answer. As the sun of the twin-sunned planet began to dip, casting long violet shadows across the palace, Ryan found himself in the garden courtyard. The air was filled with the scent of strange flowering plants, and small streams of glowing water ran over smooth stones. He had a moment alone and let out a deep breath, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. Lyra appeared silently at the edge of the garden. You handled the day well, she said, her voice gentle. You showed respect, courage, and honesty. These qualities are not common in those who visit my world. Ryan bowed slightly, feeling a mix of pride and continued nervousness. Thank you, Princess. Your guidance made it easier for me to understand your ways. Lyra smiled again, more openly this time. Perhaps, she said, human gestures are more complex than I thought. Sometimes what appears simple carries unexpected meaning. Ryan nodded, unsure if he should mention the token he had offered. But before he could speak, Lyra held out her hand and said, Tonight we dine together. There I will learn more about you, and perhaps you will learn more about me. As they walked back toward the palace, Ryan felt a strange sense of hope. The day had started with tension and uncertainty, but now he saw the possibility of something more: friendship, trust, and maybe even understanding across the boundaries of species and culture. He did not yet know if his gesture would lead to anything more significant, but as he glanced at Princess Lyra, her smile still lingering in his mind, he felt certain of one thing: this meeting would change everything, and for the first time since he had arrived, he allowed himself to feel a spark of excitement. Whatever came next, he was ready to face it. The sun had nearly set on the twin-sunned planet, casting long shadows over the palace courtyard. Ryan walked beside Princess Lyra, trying to keep his composure. The garden paths were lined with glowing flora, soft streams of water running along polished stones, and delicate alien sculptures that seemed alive in the fading light. He had spent the day learning about the princess's world, but he still felt like a guest stepping into unknown territory at every turn. Do humans often offer such gestures? Lyra asked softly, breaking the silence. Her violet eyes seemed to examine him closely, yet there was a hint of genuine curiosity rather than suspicion. Ryan shook his head. Not usually, Princess. I meant no offense. I only wanted to show respect. In my culture, sometimes small gestures carry a lot of meaning, even if they seem simple. Lyra nodded slowly. I see, meaning can be complex. Your gesture, it intrigues me. She paused, looking out at the horizon where the twin suns were melting into shades of deep violet and orange. I am used to people following the rules of my court. They are careful, polite, cautious. You are different. Ryan smiled nervously. I've learned that being different can be a challenge, but sometimes it opens doors. He realized that his human honesty and instinctive action had already set him apart in her eyes. They entered the palace, moving through hallways adorned with shimmering mosaics depicting ancient battles, diplomacy, and legendary heroes of Lyra's world. The walls seemed alive with movement, as if the stories themselves wanted to be remembered. Ryan found himself glancing at the mosaics, appreciating their artistry, while trying not to appear distracted from the princess. Finally, they arrived at the dining hall. It was vast, circular, and illuminated by soft natural light that passed through crystalline panels above. Tables were set with carefully arranged meals, some human-friendly, some distinctly alien. The smells were exotic but not unpleasant, with spices and fruits Ryan had never seen before. "Please," Lyra said, motioning toward a seat. "Tonight we dine together. Tell me more about humans. I want to understand your ways, your customs, and why you act as you do." Ryan bowed slightly before sitting. "I would be honored, Princess." He was careful to speak respectfully, aware that every word mattered. As they ate, conversation flowed more freely than Ryan expected. Lyra asked questions about human families, human exploration, and even human humor. She listened carefully to every word, occasionally smiling or raising her brow at the details he shared. Ryan noticed how thoughtful she was, how she absorbed information not just for diplomacy but seemingly out of genuine interest. "You humans value courage," Lyra said, swirling a strange violet liquid in her glass. "You risk yourselves for others even when the odds are against you." "That is admirable," Ryan nodded. "We do. We believe that helping others, even in small ways, shows the best of humanity. It is not always easy and it is not always rewarded, but it is important." Lyra's eyes softened. "I have seen courage before, but yours feels different. Honest, uncalculated. There is bravery in it, yes, but also thoughtfulness." Ryan felt a flicker of warmth. It was rare for someone to recognize his intentions so clearly. "Thank you, Princess. That means a lot coming from you." The conversation shifted to Lyra's world, its history, challenges, and the recent tensions with neighboring factions. Ryan realized that understanding her culture would require patience, observation, and respect. He listened more than he spoke, asking questions carefully and giving thoughtful answers. Lyra appreciated his sincerity, occasionally nodding or commenting with interest. After the meal, Lyra suggested they take a walk in the palace's observation deck. The platform extended outward, providing a view of the sprawling city below, lit by soft lights that shimmered like stars. The air was cool, carrying the scent of flowering plants from the gardens. "You have handled today well," Lyra said, her voice almost a whisper. "You have learned our customs quickly and respected our ways. Yet I wonder, what do you truly think of me?" Ryan paused, considering his words. This was not a question of flattery. It was a moment requiring honesty. "Princess, you are remarkable, brave, intelligent, and wise. I respect you deeply. But beyond that, I feel that you are someone who inspires people, not just through power but through character. You make people want to be better." Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting the city lights below. She said nothing for a moment, simply studying him. Then she smiled softly. "You speak as humans do, with honesty and simplicity. That is refreshing. Most who meet me are careful, calculating. You are neither." Ryan smiled, relieved that she had not misunderstood him. "I try to be honest. It is the best way to show respect." Lyra tilted her head, a playful light in her expression. "Perhaps that explains your gesture earlier. The crystal. It was honest and it carried meaning. Most humans would not dare to act without hesitation." Ryan felt his heart rate quicken. "I meant it as a symbol of respect, Princess. I hope it was received that way." Lyra stepped closer, her gaze intense but not intimidating. "It was received, well, perhaps more than you intended." She smiled again, a smile that seemed to mix amusement and intrigue. "You humans are unpredictable and yet capable of great understanding. I see now why you were chosen for this mission." They continued walking, discussing alliances, diplomacy, and shared threats from neighboring worlds. Ryan noticed that the princess's questions often tested him, not in a hostile way, but to understand his thought process, his integrity, and his adaptability. He answered as honestly as he could, knowing that even small missteps could have consequences. At one point, they stopped to observe a training session of alien soldiers. The warriors moved with fluid precision, demonstrating techniques that combined strength, strategy, and agility. Ryan watched carefully, noting both the skill and discipline required. "You watch closely," Lyra observed. "You are human, yet you understand much of what you see." "Most outsiders would only notice the surface," Ryan nodded. "I believe understanding others is more than seeing what they do. It is also seeing why they do it. Purpose matters." Lyra smiled faintly. "A wise observation, human. Perhaps that is why your gesture earlier seemed meaningful. You act with purpose." As the evening deepened, the stars of the alien sky began to appear. The twin suns had set completely, leaving the world bathed in gentle, ethereal light. The palace gardens glowed softly, creating an almost magical atmosphere. Ryan felt a sense of calm he had not experienced since arriving. "You have done well today," Lyra said, her voice quiet but firm. "You have shown courage, intelligence, and respect. Tomorrow we will begin formal discussions about the Alliance. But tonight I wanted to know the human behind the title. I am pleased I have learned much already." Ryan felt a mix of pride and relief. "Thank you, Princess. I hope to continue earning your trust." Lyra regarded him for a long moment, then her lips curved into a gentle smile. "Trust is not given lightly. It must be earned. And so far, human, you are on the right path." They remained on the observation deck for some time, speaking quietly, sharing stories of their worlds and exchanging ideas. Ryan realized that despite the differences in their species, despite the politics and cultural boundaries, there was a common ground: honesty, courage, and respect. Finally, Lyra turned toward him, her expression thoughtful. "Tomorrow will be a test of more than words. Actions will matter. We will see if your gesture, your courage, and your understanding hold in times of pressure. Are you prepared, human?" Ryan straightened, his resolve firm. "I am prepared, Princess. Whatever comes, I will act with honesty and respect." Lyra's smile widened slightly, almost approvingly. "Good, then let us both rest. Tomorrow will bring challenges, and I expect that you will rise to meet them." As Ryan retired to his quarters, he reflected on the day. He had entered this mission unsure of what to expect, only to find himself learning, adapting, and forming a connection with the princess in ways he had never imagined. He realized that the journey ahead would test not just his skills, but his heart, his integrity, and his courage. And somewhere in the back of his mind, he could not ignore a flicker of hope. Hope that the gesture he had made, though unintended in its meaning, might become the start of something remarkable. The next morning, Ryan awoke early, feeling the weight of the day ahead. Today would not be about polite conversation or observation. It would be a test of action. Princess Lyra had promised challenges, and he could sense that she would be watching closely, analyzing every decision he made. He dressed carefully in his human uniform, checked his equipment, and took a deep breath before stepping out into the morning light. The palace courtyard was alive with activity. Alien soldiers moved with precision, preparing for drills while aides hurried between buildings carrying messages and supplies. The air was filled with a sense of anticipation. Ryan joined the princess at the main hall, where a holographic map of the surrounding regions hovered in the center. "Today," Lyra began, her voice commanding yet calm, "you will observe, advise, and assist in a training exercise. This is not merely about skill. It is about judgment, courage, and teamwork. Human ingenuity is prized, but it must be tempered with wisdom." Ryan nodded, attentive. "Understood, Princess. I will do my best." The exercise was set in a simulated environment designed to replicate a neighboring hostile faction's territory. The holographic projection shifted, displaying rugged terrain, narrow canyons, and dense forests. Alien soldiers moved through the course, coordinating tactics and communicating silently through devices. Ryan observed carefully. He noticed patterns, how the soldiers anticipated moves, how they used the terrain to their advantage, and where small errors could cause larger problems. Lyra watched him silently, occasionally making small gestures that indicated approval, or prompting him to consider alternative strategies. "This is a test of both observation and action," Lyra said. "You may suggest tactics, but you must act when necessary. Hesitation can cost lives." Ryan took a moment, then stepped forward. "Princess, if I may, I believe there is an approach that uses the terrain's natural cover and diversion to minimize risk while maintaining offensive advantage." Lyra's eyes lit with interest. "Explain, human." Ryan pointed toward the holographic terrain. "We can split the units into two groups. One group draws attention, simulating a frontal assault, while the other moves through the covered paths to flank the enemy. Timing and coordination are crucial, but it maximizes efficiency and minimizes exposure." Lyra tilted her head, clearly impressed. "Clever. It is unconventional, but logical. Very well, implement your plan and guide our units." Ryan felt a surge of determination. He quickly coordinated with the alien soldiers, issuing clear instructions while monitoring their movements. The exercise began, and the simulated enemy responded exactly as predicted. Soldiers moved with precision, following his strategy, and the outcome of the drill quickly shifted in their favor. "Excellent," Lyra said, her voice filled with approval. "You demonstrate not only understanding but leadership. This is a quality rarely seen in outsiders." Ryan felt a mix of pride and relief. He had acted decisively, yet carefully, and it had succeeded. He realized that this was more than a test of intelligence. It was a test of character. As the exercise concluded, an unexpected alert flashed on the communication system. A nearby border had reported unusual activity, signs that the hostile faction might be attempting a real incursion. The simulated exercise turned into a real-time scenario, and Ryan immediately felt the stakes rise. "Princess," Ryan said, "the simulation may be over, but the threat is real. I suggest we prepare a defensive strategy immediately." Lyra's expression shifted from calm observation to focused determination. "Agreed. Human, you will assist in assessing the threat and coordinating our response. Time is critical." They moved swiftly to the command room where holographic maps and data streams displayed troop positions, resource availability, and potential routes of attack. Ryan worked closely with Lyra, analyzing the information, predicting enemy movements, and suggesting tactical adjustments. Hours passed in intense activity. The alien commanders respected Ryan's insight, following his recommendations while adjusting to the evolving situation. Lyra remained by his side, her sharp mind matching his every step, asking questions that challenged his assumptions and encouraged innovative thinking. During a particularly tense moment, reports came in that a small squad had been surrounded by hostile forces near the northern ridge. Ryan did not hesitate. "Princess, I recommend a rapid response to extract them. We can use the canyon paths to flank the enemy and create a diversion. I will lead a unit to ensure their safety." Lyra's eyes met his, and she nodded. "Do it, human. Show me the courage and judgment you have demonstrated all day." Ryan led the squad with precision, moving through the rugged terrain, coordinating with other units, and maintaining constant communication. Every decision was critical, every movement calculated. They reached the trapped squad, engaged the hostile forces with minimal risk, and successfully extracted them. When they returned to the command room, Lyra looked at him with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "You acted decisively and with care. That is rare. Many would rush blindly or hesitate in fear. You balanced both." Ryan exhaled, feeling the tension drain slightly. "I believe in assessing the situation carefully, Princess, but once a choice is made, action must follow. Hesitation often costs more than careful planning." Lyra smiled faintly. "You are not only clever but disciplined. I am beginning to understand why humans are valued in alliances. You bring qualities that are sometimes overlooked: creativity, courage, and a willingness to act with honor." The rest of the day involved coordination, adjustments, and careful observation. Ryan worked tirelessly, learning more about Lyra's strategies, her people's skills, and the delicate balance between diplomacy and defense. He noticed small details: the way Lyra considered her soldiers' morale, the subtle shifts in her expressions as she processed information, and her quiet, unspoken authority that inspired respect without fear. During a brief break, Ryan found himself beside Lyra in the garden courtyard once again. The twin suns had set completely, leaving the world bathed in soft violet light. Streams of water reflected the sky, and alien flowers released a faint, sweet scent. "You handled today admirably, human," Lyra said, her voice calm but filled with warmth. "You demonstrated courage, intelligence, and adaptability. These qualities are admirable, even for those from your own world." Ryan felt a sense of pride but also humility. "Thank you, Princess. Your guidance and trust made it possible. I could not have succeeded without your insight." Lyra studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Perhaps this day has proven something to both of us. Human courage is not always physical. It is thought, honor, and the willingness to act when it matters most," Ryan smiled. "That is how I was raised. Courage is more than facing danger. It is also about doing what is right, even when it is difficult." Lyra's expression softened further. "I see now why your gesture yesterday carried meaning. It was not impulsive nor naive. It reflected the qualities you have shown today." Ryan's heart quickened. The token, the gesture, the unintended proposal, it all seemed to have taken on a new significance. He had acted honestly and respectfully, and Lyra had recognized the value in it. They spent the remainder of the evening walking through the palace gardens, discussing strategy, culture, and the shared challenges of their worlds. Ryan realized that despite differences in species and tradition, there was a common ground: honesty, integrity, and the courage to act rightly. As night deepened, Lyra finally spoke with a tone of quiet reflection. "Tomorrow will bring further tests, human. Perhaps more difficult, perhaps more revealing. But I am pleased with what I have seen. You are not like others who visit my world. You have potential." Ryan nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and determination. "I will continue to do my best, Princess. I hope to prove that my intentions are sincere and that I am worthy of your trust." Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the alien night. "Very well, human, rest now. Tomorrow will demand both mind and courage, and I believe you are ready." Ryan left the gardens with a renewed sense of purpose. The day had been more than a test of skill, it had been a test of character. He had learned to act decisively, to balance thought with action, and to earn trust through honesty and bravery. And somewhere in the back of his mind, he could not ignore the quiet hope that his gesture, the small crystal he had offered, might one day mean more than he had intended. Perhaps it was the start of a bond between two worlds, or even between two hearts. Ryan knew that whatever challenges awaited tomorrow, he would face them with courage, wisdom, and integrity. And as he looked up at the stars of Lyra's sky, he felt certain of one thing: this mission was only the beginning of an extraordinary journey. The following morning, the palace was alive with a tension that Ryan had not felt the day before. Word had spread among the court about his actions in the training exercise and the unexpected gesture he had made with the crystal. Whispers filled the corridors, and he could sense curiosity and perhaps doubt lingering among those he passed. Princess Lyra appeared in the courtyard, her presence commanding attention. Ryan approached her, careful to maintain respect. "Good morning, Princess. I am ready for whatever the day holds." Lyra's violet eyes studied him carefully. "Today will test more than courage and intelligence. Today, human, you will face the subtle challenges of diplomacy. Words can be as dangerous as weapons, and intentions can be misinterpreted. Are you prepared?" Ryan nodded firmly. "I will do my best." The first part of the day was spent in the Royal Council chamber. Leaders from various factions and advisors gathered, their expressions polite but wary. Many were skeptical of humans, and some had already made their opinions known about Ryan's presence. He could feel their scrutiny, but he refused to let it shake him. Lyra addressed the council with calm authority. "We face challenges not only on the battlefield but within our own alliances. Human Representative Ryan has proven his skill and judgment. Today he will participate in discussions that affect our collective future." Some council members murmured among themselves. Ryan noticed their cautious expressions, sensing that some were trying to find faults in his presence. He took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand. The first discussion involved trade agreements and resource distribution. Ryan listened carefully, learning the nuances of alien economics and social needs. When appropriate, he offered suggestions based on human experience, highlighting fairness, efficiency, and long-term stability. A senior counselor, an older alien with silver skin and piercing green eyes, raised a question. "Human, you speak of balance and fairness, yet your people are often impulsive and reckless. How can we trust your advice in matters that affect entire populations?" Ryan met the counselor's gaze steadily. "I understand your concern. Humans are capable of mistakes, but we also learn quickly and adapt. My presence here is not to impose, but to observe, understand, and offer insight, based on experience and reason. I act with thought and responsibility." Lyra's eyes softened, clearly impressed by his response. The counselor studied him silently before nodding slightly, though the tension in the room remained. Ryan realized that winning trust here required more than words. It required consistency, integrity, and action. After the council meeting, a messenger arrived with urgent news. A border patrol had detected suspicious movements near a neighboring territory, suggesting that rival factions might be planning a provocation. Ryan's instincts immediately went on alert. "Princess," he said, "we must assess this carefully. A minor threat could escalate if handled poorly. I recommend sending a scouting team while preparing defensive measures." Lyra nodded. "Agreed. Human, you will oversee the strategy and coordinate the patrols." As they moved to the command center, Ryan felt the familiar rush of responsibility. This was no simulation, real lives were at stake. He worked closely with Lyra, analyzing reports, predicting possible outcomes, and suggesting tactics that balanced caution with efficiency. During the assessment, a misunderstanding arose. A junior council member misinterpreted Ryan's strategic suggestions as an overreach into political matters. Whispers spread quickly, and a few advisors began questioning his intentions. Ryan felt the weight of scrutiny heavier than ever. Lyra noticed the tension and stepped forward. "Enough," she said firmly. "Human Representative Ryan has acted with skill and integrity. We will consider his advice based on merit, not bias." Her words carried authority and the murmurs subsided. Ryan exhaled quietly, grateful for her intervention. He realized that part of this mission was not only strategy but also navigating cultural and political complexities. The situation escalated when reports indicated that a small reconnaissance unit had encountered enemy forces and required immediate assistance. Ryan immediately proposed a tactical response. "Princess, if we deploy a rapid response team using the terrain for cover and flanking, we can extract the unit without significant risk." Lyra's gaze met his, sharp and approving. "Lead the operation, human. Show me that your actions match your words." Ryan coordinated the units with precision. Moving through dense forests and rocky terrain, he directed the extraction with calm decisiveness. The operation succeeded, and the small squad was safely returned. When he returned to Lyra, she regarded him with admiration. "You acted decisively and with foresight. Many would have hesitated. You did not. That is the quality I value most." Ryan felt a quiet pride, but he remained humble. "I only did what was necessary, Princess." "Every life matters," Lyra's expression softened. "Indeed. Courage is not only about facing danger, it is about making the right choices, even when no one else understands them." As the day progressed, Ryan noticed that political tensions within the court were slowly easing. Some council members who had doubted him began to recognize the value of his perspective, yet others remained cautious, reminding him that alliances were fragile and trust was earned over time. During a brief moment of rest in the palace gardens, Ryan reflected on the day's events. The combination of diplomacy, strategy, and personal interaction had tested him in ways he had never experienced. He realized that Lyra's challenge was not only to prove his skill, but to show that humans could be trusted partners in both thought and action. Lyra joined him quietly, her violet eyes observing the gardens as the twin moons began to rise. "You handled the council well, human. You were firm without arrogance, honest without offense. That is unusual for outsiders." Ryan smiled faintly. "I have learned that understanding is more important than impressing others. Actions and intentions speak louder than words alone." Lyra's gaze softened. "And your actions yesterday, and today, have shown me something. Perhaps humans are capable of more than I realized. Perhaps courage and integrity are not limited to one species." Ryan felt a subtle warmth at her words. The gesture he had made, the token he had offered, it seemed to have taken on new significance in her eyes. He understood that trust was forming, slowly but genuinely. As evening approached, Lyra invited Ryan to observe a cultural ceremony. The palace's central plaza was filled with alien citizens celebrating an ancient tradition of peace and unity. The music was ethereal, the movements of performers precise and mesmerizing. Ryan watched in awe, realizing that this world, though alien in every way, shared a common value with his own: the celebration of courage, wisdom, and community. "Observe carefully," Lyra said beside him. "Every detail, every gesture has meaning. Understanding a culture requires patience, observation, and respect." Ryan nodded. "I will, Princess. I hope to learn as much as possible." Throughout the ceremony, Ryan noticed subtle cues: how the performers signaled to each other, how the audience responded, and how Lyra herself seemed to participate with both pride and reverence. He realized that leadership was not only about decisions and strategy, but also about understanding the hearts and minds of people. After the ceremony, Lyra led him back to the palace. "Tomorrow we will continue with further exercises and discussions. Your growth and understanding are being tested as much as your courage. Be ready, human. The days ahead will challenge you in new ways." Ryan nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and determination. He had faced challenges of diplomacy, strategy, and trust, and he knew that tomorrow would bring more. But he also understood that he was learning, growing, and forming a connection with Princess Lyra, one built on mutual respect, courage, and integrity. As he prepared for rest, he thought again of the crystal he had offered her. What had seemed like a simple gesture had sparked curiosity, respect, and perhaps even a bond. He realized that trust and understanding once earned could lead to something extraordinary. And somewhere deep inside, Ryan felt a quiet hope. Whatever the future held, he was ready to face it, not only as a human representative but as someone striving to build trust, friendship, and perhaps something even more meaningful with Princess Lyra. The night settled over the palace, peaceful yet alive with possibility. Ryan closed his eyes, knowing that the trials ahead would test every quality he possessed. But he also knew that he had proven himself worthy of trust, courage, and respect. And in the quiet of the alien night, he allowed himself to imagine what might come if his intentions and hers continued to align. An alliance, a partnership, and perhaps even a shared future. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of alien flora throughout the palace grounds. Ryan awoke with a sense of purpose. Today would be the day of culmination, of tests, trust, and understanding. He had proven his courage, his intellect, and his integrity, but now, he sensed that Princess Lyra's attention would focus on something deeper, the meaning behind the gesture he had offered days ago. He arrived at the council chamber to find Lyra waiting. Her posture was calm, regal, yet there was a subtle light in her violet eyes that Ryan had not seen before. The council would meet, but the focus of today's session seemed different, more intimate, more revealing. Human, Lyra said, her voice soft but commanding. Today we assess the understanding between our worlds and between us. The alliance depends not only on strategy and diplomacy, but on trust, respect, and the courage to act with honesty. Are you prepared? Ryan nodded, his heart steady. I am ready, Princess. I will do my best. The council gathered, representatives from various factions taking their seats. Ryan observed their expressions, curiosity, skepticism, and cautious respect. Lyra addressed the room, her tone deliberate. We have tested the skills, judgment, and character of our human representative. Now we consider the personal dimension. Trust and intention matter as much as strategy and courage. A murmur spread through the council, but Ryan held his ground. He had faced skepticism before, and he would do so again with integrity. Lyra turned toward him, her gaze steady. Human Ryan, she said, you have offered a gesture, a token of respect, of trust. In my culture, such gestures carry deep meaning. Many would hesitate, many would misunderstand. Yet you acted honestly without calculation. I wish to understand the intention behind it. Speak plainly. Ryan's pulse quickened. He had been careful with his words before, but now he realized that honesty would matter more than careful phrasing. He held the crystal in his hand, the same one he had offered her when they first met. Princess Lyra, he began, when I offered this crystal, I did so to show respect, trust, and honor. I did not know the full meaning it would carry in your culture, but my intention was sincere. I value your guidance, your courage, and the wisdom you have shown. I hope that this gesture reflects my wish to honor you and your people. Lyra's violet eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, there was a silence that filled the room. The council members leaned forward, sensing the significance of the moment. You speak truth, Lyra said finally, her voice calm but filled with emotion. You acted not for gain, not for recognition, but with genuine intention. That is rare even among my own people. Your gesture is no longer just a token, it carries meaning beyond your intention. Ryan felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. He had acted with honesty, and now it seemed that his actions had been recognized for their true value. Lyra stepped closer, her expression softening further. Human Ryan, she continued, you have earned the trust and respect of this council and of me. In our culture, a gesture such as yours is often the beginning of a lifelong bond. Are you willing to accept the responsibility that comes with such a bond? Ryan met her gaze steadily. Princess Lyra, I am willing. I promise to act with integrity, courage, and respect, as I have done from the beginning. Lyra's smile was gentle, radiant, and full of warmth. Then let it be known, she said, raising her voice so that the council could hear, that this human has proven himself worthy of trust, honor, and friendship. And perhaps something more. The council members looked at one another, some nodding, others silent, but all recognizing the gravity of the moment. Lyra turned to Ryan, her violet eyes reflecting the soft light of the palace. Human Ryan, your gesture has become a symbol of sincerity, courage, and understanding. In our tradition, I now ask you to stand with me, not merely as an ally, but as a partner in purpose. Do you accept this? Ryan felt a surge of emotion. The words, the situation, the culmination of days filled with tests, challenges, and discoveries, it all converged into this moment. He straightened, holding the crystal firmly. Princess Lyra, he said, his voice clear and steady. I accept your trust, your guidance, and the bond you offer. I will honor it with all that I am. Lyra's smile broadened, and the council members observed in awe. The bond between human and alien, between two cultures, had been recognized and affirmed. The princess extended her hand, a gesture both formal and intimate. Ryan took it, feeling a sense of connection that went beyond words or customs. In that moment, the significance of the crystal, the tests, and their shared experiences became clear. Trust, courage, and honesty had bridged the gap between two worlds. Lyra spoke again, her voice soft but full of certainty. Let this day mark the beginning of a new understanding, a partnership not only between our worlds but between us as individuals. Let the actions of today reflect the values we hold dear: integrity, courage, and respect. Ryan nodded, feeling a sense of fulfillment and purpose he had not experienced before. I will do everything in my power to uphold these values, Princess. The council chamber erupted in quiet applause, a recognition of the bond, the courage, and the wisdom displayed by both human and princess. Ryan realized that his journey had not been merely about proving skill or intelligence. It had been about demonstrating character, earning trust, and forming a connection built on mutual respect. Later, as the day came to a close, Ryan and Lyra walked through the palace gardens once more. The twin moons shone brightly overhead, reflecting softly on the water of the streams and illuminating the alien flora in gentle shades of blue and silver. You have proven much, human Ryan, Lyra said, her voice calm and reflective. Courage, wisdom, and integrity. These qualities have bridged the distance between our worlds. But more than that, you have shown understanding, patience, and respect. These are qualities I admire deeply. Ryan felt a warmth in his chest. Princess Lyra, your guidance and trust made it possible. I could not have succeeded without your support and understanding. Lyra stopped walking and faced him directly. Human Ryan, your gesture, the crystal, has become a symbol. It signifies honesty, courage, and intention. In our tradition, such a symbol is not given lightly. I now acknowledge it as a bond, not merely of respect, but of partnership. Ryan's heart raced, realizing the full weight of her words. Princess Lyra! She smiled, interrupting him gently. You do not need to speak further. Your actions have said all that is necessary. The bond is mutual. Your sincerity, courage, and respect are clear. From this moment, we are connected in purpose and trust. Ryan felt a profound sense of relief and joy. The journey that began with uncertainty, cultural misunderstandings, and cautious observation had culminated in recognition, trust, and the possibility of something extraordinary. Lyra extended her hand once more. Ryan took it, feeling the connection solidify. Let this bond guide our actions, she said, and let it be a testament to what honesty, courage, and integrity can achieve, even across worlds. Ryan nodded. It will, Princess. I promise to honor this bond in all that I do. They walked together through the gardens, the air filled with the soft sounds of alien nature. Ryan realized that his journey had changed him, not only as a human representative, but as someone capable of forming trust, understanding, and connection beyond the limits of his own experience. That night, as he rested in his quarters, he reflected on the events of the past days. What had begun as a simple gesture intended only as a token of respect had grown into something far greater. It had tested his courage, his judgment, and his integrity, and it had proven that honesty and respect could transcend the boundaries of culture, species, and expectation. Ryan understood now that the bond he shared with Princess Lyra was not simply symbolic. It was real, grounded in trust, courage, and understanding. And in that realization, he found a sense of purpose and hope that stretched far beyond the walls of the palace or the limits of his mission. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new challenges, new responsibilities, and new opportunities to prove himself. But tonight he allowed himself to rest, content in the knowledge that he had earned something rare and extraordinary, the trust and recognition of an alien princess, a bond that promised to endure and guide the future of their worlds. As he drifted to sleep, Ryan felt a quiet hope. The crystal lay on his bedside, a reminder of the gesture that had begun this journey, and the bond that would shape all that came next. Across the stars, between human and alien, trust, courage, and integrity had forged a connection that neither time nor distance could break. And somewhere in that quiet, Ryan allowed himself to imagine the future, a future of friendship, partnership, and perhaps even something more, all built on the foundation of honesty, courage, and mutual respect.